Welcome friends to this series of lectures on understanding hematology. Me and my colleague Dr. Uday are quite excited in teaching you about it. You'll understand that hematology is a huge ocean and covering it up in the extensive amount of lecture series that we have may not be possible. So we're planning to keep a series of videos called the pre-reads, which I would request you to kindly go through so that when we are taking these topics and concepts during the lectures, it will be easier to relate. Whatever I'm talking right now will be covered in the workshop, but a first-hand knowledge of this will reinforce the ideas during the workshop. The first lecture which we'll be talking about is the development of the myeloid series and certain special features of the WBCs. The myeloid series includes the neutrophils, eosinophils and the basophils. They start off with a progenitor cell that forms a myeloblast, promyelocytes, myelocytes, which further mature to metamyelocytes, tab form, band forms, and the neutrophils or the eosinophils, the basophils. The commitment to a line of series, whether it's going to become the neutrophils or whether it's going to be eosinophils or basophils, is determined at the myelocyte series. This is where the secondary granules also tend to occur. Myeloblast, promyelocytes, myelocytes, and metamyelocytes are usually seen in the bone marrow, and when they come into the peripheral blood smear, it is definitely a cause of concern and needs to be evaluated. Not necessary that all the time it happens only in leukemias, but it is definitely a concern that we should be looking into. The first series is the myeloblast. The myeloblast is characterized by cells having a very high NC ratio. They are large cells having high nucleocytoplasmic ratio, that is the cytoplasm is very less. These cells have got inconspicuous nucleoli, and there could be multiple nucleoli in them. Like this cell, you could see one nucleoli here, one nucleoli here, a faint one over here. This has got 1, 2, 3, 4. So it could have inconspicuous nucleoli multiple, but presence of nucleoli is essential. It's got to have a high NC ratio. Cytoplasm may show granules. These are the earliest series of the cells. The next series is the promyelocyte, where the cells are slightly maturing. Here the cytoplasm tends to increase, but the nucleus also increases. So the promyelocyte size is larger than a myeloblast. It also has the nucleoli, but the distinctive features are large cells, a little bit of cytoplasm, presence of cytoplasmic granules. So when you get these three features, that is the large cells, prominent cytoplasmic granules and presence of a nucleoli, we are thinking in terms of a promyelocyte. The next is a more mature form of the promyelocyte. Here the cell size tends to start shrinking. The nucleoli is lost, but the nucleus is still more than 50% of the NC ratio. The granules are present and secondary granules start to come here, and this is when the commitment to the lineage occurs. From the myelocyte to the metamyelocyte series, the cytoplasm increases and nuclear indentations start to occur. This is when the nucleus starts indenting inside. So if you were to differentiate between a myelocyte and a metamyelocyte, look for this nuclear indentation. These nuclear indentations start becoming more and more, so you get the band form. This is the typical State Bank of India sign, and when these band forms further increase, they result in the formation of lobes, and that's when the neutrophils start to occur. So if we talk about the series of maturation, first we have a myeloblast. The myeloblast next series is the promyelocyte. The difference between the two is that the promyelocyte has got more cytoplasm and prominence of granules, and the unique feature of the myeloblast and the promyelocyte is the presence of the nucleoli. In the myelocyte series, the nucleoli is not present, and these cells also tend to be smaller than the promyelocyte. So when you're looking at the bone marrow, you will be seeing promyelocytes and you will be seeing myelocytes. Myelocytes will be smaller than the promyelocyte. Then when the size of the nucleus becomes less than 50% and indentation starts, these series of cells are called the metamyelocytes. The indentation further increases. This is called the stab form, and then when these indentations become more prominent inside to give you structures like these, with a thin layer of chromatin connecting the two lobes. This is called the segmented stage of the neutrophils. Now, in cases of infections, when the requirement of neutrophils are more, the neutrophils don't get adequate time to mature in the bone marrow and they come into the peripheral smear. They carry the granules with them, which are very prominent. So these granules are called toxic granules. Since the earlier series of neutrophils are coming to the peripheral blood smear, we call it a shift to the left. Normally 3 to 4 lobe neutrophils are present in the peripheral smear. If you start seeing more of 2 and 3 lobe neutrophils having these prominent granules, and in some of the neutrophils you could see certain clearings in the cytoplasm called cytoplasmic vacuolations. A triad of these three, shift to the left, prominent granules, cytoplasmic vacuolation, these are all suggestive of sepsis. An interesting feature that sometimes you would find in few of the neutrophils, especially in females, is a small appendage structure in one of the lobes, and this appendage corresponds to the Barr bodies. And when we are trying to do identification of the sex of a patient, the present in cases of ambiguous genitalia or etc., presence of these Barr bodies also would be suggestive of female sex. The next series that we need to discuss about is lymphocytes. Lymphocytes exist in three different forms: the small, the large, and activated lymphocytes. The classical description of a small lymphocyte is a small cell having a very high NC ratio, showing U and heterochromatin with very faint rim of cytoplasm. Normally we say the size of an RBC corresponds to the size of the nucleus of a small lymphocyte. The size of the RBC corresponds to the size of the nucleus of a small lymphocyte. So when we're talking about whether a RBC is larger in size, macrocyte, or whether the RBC is smaller in size, microcyte, the benchmark is the nucleus of a small lymphocyte in the same smear. So that is the exact size of a small lymphocyte. Sometimes the lymphocytes could be larger, having more amount of cytoplasm. These are called the large lymphocytes. Occasionally a few of them could have granules. In a virally infected patient, the lymphocytes become activated, where the cytoplasm tends to increase more, is frail and irregular in shape. These are called activated lymphocytes. So when you're looking at a smear and you see activated lymphocytes, think that this patient would probably be suffering from some viral infection. Plasma cells. The classical description of the plasma cell is a large cell with an eccentric nucleus, abundant blue color cytoplasm. The nucleus has got characteristic U and heterochromatin pattern, which is called the cartwheel. Just above the nucleus is a small clearing, that's the perinuclear Hoff, which corresponds to the Golgi body, and the cytoplasm is blue in color because of the presence of immunoglobulins. These are plasma cells. Excess of plasma cells in the bone marrow, few of them having nucleoli, would correspond to myeloma. Plasma cells are normal residents of the bone marrow, so seeing a couple of plasma cells in the bone marrow does not define it as a multiple myeloma case or a plasmacytoma case. There are specific defining criteria which will be covering in the workshop. But this is how a plasma cell looks like. Now coming to erythropoiesis. Erythropoiesis also follows the same pattern that we've seen in the myelopoiesis. You have a proerythroblast, then a basophilic erythroblast, polychromatic erythroblast, orthochromatic, a reticulocyte, and a mature RBC. The point that we need to understand is that this is an erythroblast. Erythroblast is a cell with a very high NC ratio, coarse chromatin, and a deep blue cytoplasm. It's very unique when you see it in the bone marrow. As the erythroblast starts maturing, the nuclear size progressively keeps decreasing and the hemoglobinization of the cytoplasm starts occurring. So from a basophilic erythroblast, when the hemoglobin concentration progressively increases, you'll come to a polychromatic state, then you'll come to the orthochromatic state. After the orthochromatic stage, that is when the hemoglobination is more than the basophilia present in the cytoplasm, the nucleus starts to disintegrate, becomes pycnotic. That stage is called the reticulocyte, and then eventually expelled, which is the mature RBCs. So if you go the back way, this is the mature RBC. When you have reticulocyte, when you have few nuclear remnants in it, this is the reticulocyte. Then there is a cell which has got a pycnotic nucleus and a well hemoglobinized cytoplasm. This is called a normoblast, and these are the earlier stages of the erythroid series in the bone marrow. A unique condition, that is B12 and folate deficiency, there is a asynchrony between the maturation of the cytoplasm and the shrinking of the nucleus. So you would find series of cells where the hemoglobinization has occurred completely, but the nucleus size is not proportionately low. So this is nuclear cytoplasmic asynchrony. When the nuclear cytoplasmic asynchrony occurs, think in terms of megaloblastic anemia. Another unique feature of megaloblastic anemia are presence of these characteristic cells called the megaloblasts. Now you can see that the nucleus is very big, but the hemoglobinization has also occurred quite a bit. So this is a nuclear cytoplasmic asynchrony, and the characteristics of this nucleus is that it is sieve-like, clumped and sieve-like. This is a characteristic feature of megaloblastic anemia. Thank you very much for listening to the first part of this pre-read. I will also be coming with the second part of the pre-read, where I'll be talking about the various shapes of the RBCs and terminology commonly used in hematology. Thank you.